Okay, I want to read you another chapter from Maria Simma's book, Get Us Out of Here. And this is called The Saints. It's very short, but she was visited by the holy souls in Purgatory. She helped release many of them, and her book is really very insightful and very interesting. So she's being interviewed. Do any saints play important roles for the poor souls? Saint Joseph can help us greatly in avoiding purgatory entirely. And we should often ask our favorite saints to pray a lot for our loved ones in purgatory. The saints' prayers for them assist them a great deal. And officially, the patron saint of the poor souls is Saint Nicholas of Tolentino. Do the poor souls ever mention the saints? No. So far, they haven't mentioned them in any specific way to me, but they do mention the angels, and most especially Saint Michael, who is so very important. How would you respond to Christians who question the importance of saints? Ignoring them is a great loss. By reading about them, our faith is greatly strengthened. I promise you many of their stories make contemporary writing in any media seem pathetic. God has put saints into man's history with good reason, and praying for their intercession on our behalf or that of others is also very necessary and fruitful. With them, we then have very strong advocates in front of the throne of God. Are there any saints alive today? Oh, very many. In times as sinful, dangerous, and volatile as these, God's graces abound, and that results in many saints. They rarely make the headlines because, for the most part, they remain hidden until they too have gone to heaven. This is because of the greatest part it is their humility and obedience that makes them saints, and the humble will never want to be seen or heard. As we all know so well, bad news travels fast and is sold for a lot of money. Good news travels far more slowly and does not keep the media going. It does not sell papers. Who would you consider as being a saint in this century? Padre Pio? We know that. I mean, he's fantastic. Pope John Paul I. Now, she says something very interesting here, okay? Who was murdered for his goodness and for his recognizing Satan among, and she targets the Freemasons here, who have strongly penetrated the walls of the Vatican. Then Maximilian Kolbe, and other more recent Polish priests. What was his name? The one who was tortured, tied up with wire, and drowned by the secret police? Popolisko? Something like that. He has appeared standing next to Jesus and dressed in martyr's colors of red and white. I could come up with more, but I know that some of the greatest are still among us, yet hidden and protected. For instance, in northern Italy, there is a priest where the sisters had to close the windows high up in the church before his masses. Do you know why? Because during the consecration, he was in such a deep ecstasy and so very close to Jesus that he lifted off the ground and floated upward. The sisters didn't want to lose him. Soon his bishop stopped his masses in public because they understandably caused a commotion among the people. Just imagine how he must suffer here with the world as it is today. What fanciful labels would non-believing psychiatrists attach to him? That I'd like to know. Yet there are certainly very many saints today, but understandably the church has to be very careful and discerning in dealing with them, and therefore the process for their potential beatification may only begin once they too have gone on their heavenly way. One of the greatest misconceptions people have today about saints. Misconceptions? I feel that the most common one is for people to think and say that those others have received graces that they have not, and so they cannot be as holy as those others there. To say, thank God I wasn't chosen to become a saint, is putting the cart in front of the horse and is a weak excuse. Had the ones who say such things acted as well as those others, then they too would have received more and greater graces. God's justice lies deeply in the fact that every one of us is given the same opportunity to become holy. Do saints get angry? Yes, certainly they do. And most especially when they sense, hear, or see acts against honoring God or against honoring love, no matter what the circumstances. Feeling anger and being angry is not a sin. Oh, good. But because I've been angry. But what one does when angry is what gets weighed carefully, right? But righteous anger is definitely permitted in God's will. Wasn't Jesus himself angry when he chased the merchants from the temple? He most certainly was. And he still is today when people make money from a holy place or situation. Knowing, of course, that all saints are entirely different. What is your opinion are the most common personality traits among saints other than humility? Loving all people no matter who they are, seeing good in everyone no matter who they are, forgiveness towards anybody, and readiness to do anything for God and any of his people, no matter how difficult it might be. I would also include that saints always seem to have an especially deep respect and love for the very young as well as the very old. Do you feel that you personally have met some saints? Yes, I do. A woman down there in the valley, for instance, in the town of Schnifis, was one such person. She was bedridden for a very long time with crippled legs, and I think in constant terrible pain. Every time I visited her, she was beaming, and I finally asked her how she could be so joyful all the time. Her answer was that she knew that she was saving so many souls for God, and that she saw it as a privilege to be permitted to do so for him. She, I think, was a true saint. Would you tell me the names of some living saints you know? No. That would bring them unnecessary suffering and also endanger and weaken their humility. I have to say, as I close this, that I had the privilege of meeting, I believe, a living saint. And it was in Rome. And it was at a convent, and I won't mention the convent, but I'll say that I don't want to bring attention to them. But I met the head mother there. I had donated some money, and she was very grateful. So she wanted to meet me. I had never met her before. And I shook her hand. And I remember when I shook her hand, I'm not even kidding, I felt like an energy went from her into me. And I went, then I left and I walked around the streets of Rome for hours. And I remember I had this deep sense of peace. I just had this incredible sense of peace that came from this woman. And she gave me a gift, and I still have it. I still have the gift. I couldn't believe it. I was amazed because she was such a prayerful person, And she blessed me that day, and she was a living saint. I don't know if she's still alive because she was quite elderly, but if she's not, I pray she prays for me, and I also pray that she's in heaven. So, anyway, there are saints around us. They're just hidden. Have a great day.